Welcome to episode 234 of the Muck Podcast. Listen in as we discuss the dark and sometimes weird true stories in American politics. I'm Tina Hanamiya.
And I'm Hillary Doherty.
Hillary.
Hi.
How are things with you?
Things are good. How are things with you?
Well,
what?
Summer's coming to a close.
Let me tell you, motherfucker, something, okay? Tina, we went out last night to do karaoke, which was fun.
Oh my god.
It's always so much fun there. It's so much fun. And
it's always a great group of people. You never know who's going to be in that
this
bar.
place is like, what do you call that?
Like,
where it's like everybody comes to, like there's
it's
a
like
meeting point.
Yeah, I don't know, but it's just an eclectic group. Like you've got Patriot Mark, you've got,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? It's like you've got, then
That's
there's
right,
like the
Patriot
bachelor
Mark.
party, birthday party.
Yes. Oh my god, that girl's shirt was so
happening.
cute. There was this girl, it was her birthday. She's got to be like early 20s, right? And she was wearing a shirt and it said, "Don't let my tits fool you. I'm a really nice person." Oh my god. I was like, I need that shirt so
it was
badly.
really cute.
Don't let my tits fool you. Yes, please. I love this.
Oh
So
my
good.
God.
But yeah, it is a good mix of people. But anyway, I said to Tina, she was like, and I go, when do you go back to school? She goes, Monday. I was like, and then I don't feel sorry for you. I have to go to work every day. So go back to work.
I know. But
I please. And also, but this summer seemed very, very short.
very
short.
Yeah, we lost a week.
Yeah.
They cut a week off. So I'm feeling that week today because I could have a whole nother week right now.
Yeah. I mean, I love summertime too, but
Yeah.
it's because I don't have to wake somebody up. I don't have to
Yeah.
help with homework. I don't have to make lunches. Like,
Yeah.
it's just, I gotta go to work, bye, and they're good. Like, I don't have to, I'm going to miss that.
Yeah.
But I don't have them their first week of school, so I'm kind of bummed about that. And I've had the conversation where I'm like, you have to come to the house so I can take a picture of you guys first. We'll see how that goes over. Hopefully I'll be
That's
able to
cute.
do that. Yeah, of course.
It's just, teaching is mentally draining.
Yeah.
And so it takes time to recover.
Yeah, I hear you. So you haven't had enough time?
I don't think I've had enough recovery time.
Girl.
It's just, and there's so many new policies, and the metal detectors are going to be everywhere.
Oh, yeah.
In all of the schools.
Yep.
and at the high school level, and there's just every year there's something new to
Fun. Well, speaking of Broward County schools, I watched the school board meeting this week where they
with that
finally
one
came down with the punishment for the mother of the transgender girl who was playing volleyball. God forbid, she's playing volleyball at a Broward County high school. And, of course, the superintendent was still trying to fire this woman. And there were people coming out speaking on her behalf, students who wrote letters and things like that, which was really nice to hear.
Yeah.
And they tried to do a 5-day suspension, and that failed. And then school board member Hickson offered up 10-day suspension, and then to move her out of the position she's in to a lateral position, so
Right.
she won't be losing money, but get her
she
out
won't
of
be
where she
gaining
can't have
money,
access to records, because that was the real issue. And I'm good with this. I'm good with this. It passed, thank God. She didn't lose her job. But it's a really it's a terrible thing when there's just basically one school board member who was atrocious, and that's Brenda Fam.
Well, I mean, no
it's to be
surprise
expected,
there.
but she has no class. There's no sort of like, this is a sensitive situation. This is a sensitive issue. This is a young person who's being affected. I know we're talking about her mother, but if you think whatever happens to her mother doesn't affect her, you're wrong. And she's reading from articles and reports. She's misgendering the student,
but deliberately.
Deliberately talking about he and son instead of the what we should be how we should be referring to the student. And it, like, when you hear it, it just, as a normal person, shocks you, because we're talking about something else.
Yeah.
And she has no idea how damaging that can be to a person,
Well, she's
a student,
using it
a child.
She's using it as a platform to say all the bad things.
But I also think she doesn't even know. I don't think she knows.
I don't know.
She's that out of it.
I feel like these women are all sort of some version of a Marjorie Taylor Greene, where they just say these things.
Right.
They're ignorant.
Right.
And they just say it out loud, and they just legitimately don't care. They don't care how it feels because, like, they know this is right and this is what the view is, and they just have that vibe about them.
Right. Which is why, again, I'm saying that everyone on the school board needs to sit down for transgender advocacy training so you can understand what transgender is, what it means, especially in relations to being a child who's transgender, so you understand the sensitivity of the situation. Because, you know, school board member Hickson said, listen, we're not discussing the transgender child. Our relation to this case is an employee who broke the law. Full stop.
Yeah.
Correct. And the reason why this mother did that are for all emotional family reasons. We understand protecting your children. Like, that makes sense. But they need to make this decision based on an employee who did the wrong thing.
And what the rules are.
Totally makes sense. Yeah.
Go into records or whatever that is.
So there's no reason to go back and open up these reports and start having these conversations again publicly on the record, saying horrific things. And I'm glad I wasn't the only one, because there was people in the audience who came up to the mic and were like, how dare you do this to this child, towards Brenda Fam, who was interrupting people to hold up papers. She looked like a crazy girl. What are you doing?
They're nuts.
You need to take a step back and say, I don't really understand what this is, and try to, like, sit down with transgender folks. This is Broward County. I could throw a rock and hit 5 advocacy groups that will come to and do training. You should really try to understand. Not say that. It doesn't mean you're going to go, wow, okay, I agree with all of this, but you understand the severity of the situation, and you don't cause more harm that's already been done. You've already caused enough.
The thing is, they don't want to understand.
Well, the school board, as a corporation, organization, whatever, should make children, and you should make it part of your teaching training. I know you don't want to go to another teacher meeting, but you should do that too. Yeah. Because this doesn't, it all trickles down. There's idiots working as teachers who treat transgender students terribly too. Yeah. So, like, let's get it together over there.
Ooh. The other thing I saw, just Florida-based, was there was a black woman, who lost like half of her blood and almost died because of the current abortion bans in Florida.
What the fuck?
They're like, here's some antibiotics. Take care.
Where did this happen?
I think I don't remember the exact area in Florida where it happened, but this is why that Amendment 4 needs to pass. Like, women's lives are so at risk right now. And then the idea, I saw a post that was like, if we don't require regular people to have to give up an organ, a kidney, or whatever it is to save someone else, because like that is our body and we have the choice of whether or not we want to donate that, why are we forcing pregnant women to do the same? Like, why don't women still have that autonomy? And then the other thing I was reading about with that Project 2025 is there is a passage in there about pregnant women and chemotherapy.
Oh my God.
And that if pregnant women, like, basically that they should not have access to chemo because of the life of the fetus. So again, like, putting that life, which may or may not be viable, who knows, over the care of the woman. That to me is very scary.
I mean, I've known someone who went through this.
You know?
She found out she had cancer when she was pregnant, and like halfway through having to deal with all of that. Girl.
Can you imagine this? Like, sorry, you can't get any treatment.
And I think she had to wait. I think she had to wait until the baby was born, and like almost immediately after started. Yeah. Because it was, the more time that you give it.
Yeah, I think it depends on, your stage and what type and what, you know what I mean? But, and there's different types of chemo too. Because there's some chemo that is like, they call it like the Red Devil, like that's really, really bad chemo. And then there's other chemo that isn't as bad. It just depends on your cancer. So again, that is like between a patient and a doctor, and like what is the best plan forward for someone in that situation, and not someone's like little project that they threw together that they think they know about. There's so many things in that document that is terrifying.
Yeah, well, and also, now he's trying to back away from it and say that it's not a thing. Yeah. That's we're not going to be doing that, and it's just all lies. It's all fucking lies. So let's talk about him at the National Association of Black Journalists.
Oh my God.
Holy fuck, you guys. Holy shit. I mean, I was watching clips and I'm like, all right, I gotta watch this whole thing. And I watched it from beginning to end. It's like 34 minutes. It's the most astonishing thing I've ever seen in my life.
I mean, the crowd is gasping because he's insulting these people who are there trying. I mean, they've offered him a platform. You know, he could have talked about whatever issues there were, and all he wants to do is complain about how he was made to wait, and how
Which,
dare
by the way,
you
I think
come
he was late. I think he was late.
and how dare you come at me?
Yeah. Well, the opening
with
question was like, because once again, black women are not going to sit here and, you know, do this to you. He's always attacked black journalists, especially black women. So out of the gate, the woman was very direct of, here's what you've said to black journalists. And he immediately takes offense, and now he's combative, which is exactly where you want him to be.
Yeah.
Which is exactly where you want to be. And also, we're going to ask you the questions, and we're going to hold you accountable on your answers. For the most part, they did that. I mean, when they talked about abortion, he's like, some of these states, they let you have an abortion 8th month, 9th month, and like that. And I heard one of the journalists say, that's not true, that's not real, that's not a real thing. But he kept repeating that.
They say that, and they also say, I saw some person was like that Democrats allow abortions 4 weeks after the baby's born.
Y'all, and also, like, how do you say these things and then, this is that dumb fucking shit that's happening to them, and they convince themselves of dumb shit, and that, like, abortions at 4 weeks after. Which is not even the definition of abortion. That's murder. That's literal fucking murder of a human being.
It's so
We're talking about a clump of cells at 6 weeks, 7 weeks, 8 weeks. By the way, the thing that he said a couple of things that were crazy.
Well, yeah, one of the things about the race is shocking.
It is shocking.
Where he's like, all of a sudden, she's black. Like, just a poof in the air. This is, and we talked about this last night, you know, birther 2.0. Anything to make Kamala Harris, and they deliberately pronounce her name wrong. Yeah. And everything now is tied to her authenticness as an American. Like, I saw some other people speaking, I was a woman, and she was like, I know where I come from. I know I'm an American. I know what I am.
No, she doesn't.
With the suggestion that then Kamala Harris doesn't know what she is, and that she's not America, or she's not authentic, or whatever the case may be. It is outrageous.
And also, like, how in the fuck? Because here's the thing. Now, I could see it before everybody got woke. You know, you could hear, they've been saying this kind of shit. White supremacists have been saying this. You could pull these quotes from David Duke in 1985 or something. Like, but now, most people, you hear it. You see the red flags. Most people can decipher now when the people say things like that. So the fact that not only did he say these awful things, but then they doubled down afterwards and were like putting up clips of when she said she was Indian and pictures of her, videos of her making Indian food with Mindy Kaling. And
because she's both Indian and black.
As if she was distancing herself from her black father. It's so fucking insane. And, you know, the other thing is that they don't understand how someone who isn't white and a woman can be as successful as Kamala Harris has been. It doesn't make sense to them. Kamala Harris has won more races than Donald Trump and J.D. Vance combined. Yeah. Has served more years than those two combined. She has done more. She was elected as a district attorney in San Francisco. Elected to the largest state. Yeah. As the state attorney, the largest state as a U.S. senator. The 5th largest economy in the world is California. You're trying to talk about somebody who doesn't have experience. She had to sleep her way to the top. It's because it doesn't make sense to them that someone who looks like her could be that successful. So we have to wash it away with she's a slut. She slept her way to the top. Right. That her race. Now we're going to debate her race because it doesn't make sense. Mixed race. It's like they smoke what's coming out of their ears. They don't understand. Except J.D. Vance understands. Yeah. Don't you? You understand what mixed race is, right? Right. Because you're not going to allow your children to not know their mother's Indian heritage. They're not just from Kentucky, right? Like, that shit is so fucking deafening. It's like, I can't believe that his running mate right next to him has children who are mixed race, and this no good motherfucker is still on the ticket. That's your family. At the end of the day, that's all you got. You think Trump gives a fuck about you? In 4 years, they're gonna be fucking putting up the gallows for you, motherfucker.
That's true. It's true.
And who are you gonna go home to? Your mixed race children? You better get your shit together, bro. Get it together. That's fucking gross. Fucking gross.
It's gross, but the other thing is they have this distinction of, right, well, yeah, my kids are mixed, but she's good, right? Like that there's this good versus bad in terms of race. You know what I mean?
Oh
and
my
like
God.
that's how they qualify it.
But again, we are going to, like, I don't understand the conversation about mixed race. Tens of millions of Americans
Everybody's
are
mixed.
Yeah.
How many times have you talked to a white person?
Oh my God, I was going to say that.
Yo,
yes.
I'm Irish and English and Dutch and blah, 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 blah.
How many people took 23andMe? These motherfuckers aren't white.
And then they're always
Tina's
like,
the only person I can say is 100%, but that's Italian. That bitch ain't white. Tina, right?
That's right.
Yeah, she's Italian.
Yeah.
100%. 100%. We're not, there's very few people who could say that about anything here.
Right.
Including Donald Trump. It's gross. And so just, keep distancing yourself. It just makes people more and more aware of what you're doing and who you are, and they're not going to vote for you. This darkness is not selling anymore. It's not a sales pitch that people are buying. It's the same garbage bullshit they keep fucking regurgitating for 9 years now.
So they're just afraid, and Trump is very afraid. And you know, one of my favorite things was when Kamala was speaking at an event in Georgia, and was like,
my God,
hey, you know, I heard you don't want to debate me anymore, and you know, why don't you come say those things to my face? And it was like, let's go. This is the energy that we need, and he is afraid. So the only way that he can counter that is to find whatever thing to try and ruin her reputation. But again, like Hillary's saying, like people are over.
Who's gonna buy that? Nobody's buying it.
I mean, there are plenty of people, because like, you know, in I just saw recently too that they had another like white supremacist march somewhere, you know, and those people are totally into it. But that's few and far between.
Very few and far between.
You know, there's not, most people think that's disgusting.
Especially,
and somehow they think that everybody thinks like they do. And no, surprise, surprise, they don't.
And also, when they say these things, then you can't pan the camera over to Kamala, who's joyful, who's happy, who's smart, who's fierce. Like, that's who you're trying to tear down with these conversations. Like, it's not like this, she's the devil running around like an evil person. They're trying to tear down someone who is extremely likable and actually fucking killing it. By the way, raised $312 million in July. That's why they're doing this, because they don't have anything else to say. They don't have anything else to say about her.
And that's organic money coming in. I know we talked about it last time, but these aren't, you know, your Koch brothers and all these other people that are just throwing millions of dollars. These are everyday people. They have the people. The one thing that I am worried about is what Rachel Maddow has been talking about with the certification of elections. On the state level.
I saw a professor talk about it that was like, this is not a thing. So.
And so I read a couple of things like, okay, like how it works. And basically it's almost like, no, I want to say ceremonial, but it's almost like they have to just sign off and they can't not. And I do believe after the whole January 6th thing, they try to put in more protections. But I still feel like they're going to try to hold, certain states are going to try. And imagine like Florida.
Well, Florida, he's not going to have an issue. I always think about Florida, but I don't think there'll be an issue.
Say by some miracle of miracles, we get close to something. You know that mofo is not going to want to certify nothing.
No, I agree. But I don't see it. I got to tell you, I think after what happened the last time, now we got to remember too, there were plenty of states like Georgia that's why that's a big issue there, that lawsuit there, because they held their ground. And these are people who were Republicans. So we have to, and in Arizona too, the same thing. He tried to do it in Arizona. The guy's like, sir, not taking this call. Like, this is not a thing. You did not win here. Like, those we have to believe in the people who are at the top because they are the ones who will get in trouble.
Right.
Not these fake electors they tried to have. People kind of tried to show up and, oh, we're the electors. No, because your candidate didn't win, so you're not allowed to be here.
And then worst case, like, so what? Then Kamala and Biden still stay in office. You know what I mean? Like, so it's not like Trump is sitting there.
Right. But the other thing that is still, going, just the last thing about that interview on the National Association of Black Journalists, is they directly asked him about pardoning January 6th rioters. And
he can't.
I got to tell you, this is the only issue for me with Trump. This is it. And I think it's enough. I think you can tap into the patriotism that people feel in their heart about America and point to January 6th. And I know that they've tried really, really hard. And he tried to do it on that interview too, to spin that of they were protesters and what tries to point to protesters who were there when Netanyahu, that war criminal monster fucking murderer, was in our Congress, and there was people
praising Trump.
Yeah. Then he went Trump. Then he was an hour north of me at Mar-a-Lago shaking hands and hugging that fucking pig. But there were people protesting, thank God. And
but it was
in Congress,
peaceful protesting.
Yeah, there was some push and pull there, but he was saying, "What about that? What about that?" And the journalist was saying there were 140 officers who were injured. One of them lost an eye that day, and you're okay. You're going to pardon people who went after police officers. She's like, "Well, they're innocent," and she said, "Sir, they've been convicted." And then he says, "But yeah, the court's unjust. It's it's a criminal. They're criminals in the court system." So it's every single How are you okay with that? As someone who would vote for Trump, how are you okay with... That's not a protest, breaking windows and breaking in doors to take over Congress and try, in an attempt to overturn a free and fair fucking election? That is mind-blowing to me. That's enough of a reason to not vote for Donald Trump.
I've spoken to people who say, nope, it was just a protest, just like all the other things that were happening that year.
It's mind-blowing.
Yeah. It's
mind-blowing. The violence that was happening that day and that we are still doing this. No. That's enough of a reason. And he's a traitor. And anybody who stormed the Capitol, who've been convicted in court, they're criminals. They're traitors to the country. They are traitors. And he wants to go back? Yeah. What?
He wants absolute control and power. The other thing that has been interesting is, not only the attack on Kamala because of her race, but because obviously she's a woman. And there was a guy on Fox News who started talking about that if men vote for a woman, then he transitions into a woman.
That they're working hard. Let me tell you something.
When you vote for a woman, you transition. So I'm like, okay, let's go to Germany. Let's go to all of these countries. Are the countries all? Did they all transition into women?
It's a weird fucking spin.
Yeah, I was
also because I gotta frankly
really going after that alpha male kind
that
of thing.
toxic shit. But I gotta tell you, I've had to vote for men my whole life. I have no dick.
I know. Ugh. I guess you only transition the other way.
I mean, again, when you say it out loud,
it's the craziest
so
thing.
Stupid. They're saying the dumbest shit. And also,
but this is on a news.
Who does it play to?
This is on a news station.
Yeah,
this
who
isn't
are you
on
playing
YouTube.
to?
This isn't some YouTube Yahoo. This is someone who is on a news station that is on a television station. You know what I mean? Like,
also,
how are you paying or getting these people on your show?
Yeah.
It is wackadoodle. Like, I would get it if it was some guy in a tinfoil hat making a YouTube video in his basement.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense.
But to be on like a mainstream thing going that when a man votes for a woman, he transitions into a woman, like he grows breasts.
I wish you would. Get your period every month.
Yeah.
Don't get pregnant because you're in trouble, motherfucker.
You're in trouble.
Yeah, my favorite thing about the way they're trying to. She's a DEI hire. She's this, and then she's not. And then she's not black. She's not black enough. Pick which one.
Yeah.
Pick the racist conversation you want to have.
Yeah, how is she DEA if she's not black?
Yeah, he's like, define DEI. And she's like, diversity.
And he's like, you're not defining it.
Inclusion. She's like, that's literally the fucking words. But he doesn't even know. Like,
And he's like, but I want the definition.
He doesn't know what anything is. He doesn't know. Well, he's out of his fucking mind. He's losing it.
Yeah, well, we just saw a clip of him.
He's screaming about the lights.
Yeah, screaming.
Wait,
screaming.
I gotta play that. I gotta play that.
Shut up.
It's so fucking funny, dude. Please let me play this. Yeah. Oh my god, dude.
Oh my god, this man.
Lights off. Off. Turn them off. They're too bright. Turn them off. Turn them off. Let's go. Ready? Turn off the lights. Turn off the lights. Turn off the lights. Turn them off.
There's a funny comment underneath that says, I like to start the same chant at bedtime every night. My wife doesn't approve. What's going on with him?
Turn off the
lights. What's going on?
Imagine
the lights are off, bro. Yeah. The lights have been off.
Yeah.
On that campaign, motherfucker.
Wow.
The lights are off. Oh my god. He is a trip. He's a trip.
That he's screaming about this. There's people probably working back there like, how are we shutting up these, like, we're just going to be in a rally in the dark. There's probably one light that's shining in his face.
Yeah, it like came on really bright and he was like, he looked like he was going to fucking die because he's melting. You know, his hair,
melting.
The makeup.
He probably can't read the teleprompter.
Yeah, he's old. Like,
he's old.
Girl, now he looks old. And P.S. One of the other things is, you know, I've said it this many times on this podcast. My father is like the bullshit artist of the century. And so he'll say something sometimes. My mom will be like, "That's not true," and he'll be like, "Ooh," like, you know, he'll make a little face. That was happening in this interview.
Oh yeah.
And at one point, he goes, "She didn't even graduate law school," about Kamala, and the crowd goes, "Woo!" Like that's not true, whatever. And he went, he makes this like he's. Just like, well, we throw some shit out and see what happens. And I started laughing, and it was the first time I think I've ever actually laughed at something that Trump did because he's so scary to me. Yeah. But he was like, and I'm like, that's right. He's a fucking bullshit artist. He's a fucking bullshitter. He doesn't even understand how gross and bad it is to say these things. And also, there are children watching. You know, when you think about J.D. Vance's children, there's plenty of children in the world watching a former United States president talk about how someone being mixed race, they're confused and they're not confused. You're confused. You don't understand how someone who has brown skin could actually be successful because you were given everything. You don't understand how that works. Here's the other thing I want to talk about. Yesterday at the Olympics, girl, you know, there's no situation, there's no time ever that's going to happen from here on out where there isn't something controversial happening, you know? And, you know, J.K. Rowling is such a piece of shit. She has
ruined.
Yeah, she's a major piece of shit. Her
legacy.
Yeah.
Because those damn books, there were kids that like really connected to those books because like those kids are kind of like the outsiders, you know what I mean? That are working together against all of this stuff. And then you have this person who wrote it turn into such a piece of garbage. Well,
she uses her platform to...
She's gross.
She's a feminist who's against transgender women. They're not a part of her feminist movement.
Yeah, she's not a feminist.
The way she talks about her and Brenda Fam would be BFF.
Yeah.
I mean, it's fucking gross. Fuck J.K. Rowling.
Yeah.
And so there's an athlete at the Olympics who's an Algerian boxer. Her name's Aman Khalif, right? Yeah. So she's fighting the Italian boxer and punches her. I don't know if it was the first round or whatever, but the punch was so hard the Italian boxer was like, "I'm out. I've never been punched like this. I'm out." And she quits because it was like
like the breath.
And also, we're at the Olympics where we're judging performance. Yeah. And she said, "I'm good. Like I'm. There's no way I'm gonna." Right. So she quits and she's crying. I'm sure she trained very hard for it. So because of the way that this Algerian boxer looks, somebody went on to Twitter and accused her of being transgender, that she was born a biological male.
Right.
Okay? And all of this starts spreading like wildfire over
Correct.
Twitter. J.K. Rowling, Trump. People were
course.
retweeting this thing and saying this. This isn't fair. This isn't fair. Oh, the
everything's a
Italian boxer,
conspiracy.
everybody felt bad for her. She's this victim and like all of these awful things. But this person was, but she's not. But she's not. And she's a biological female. It's been a
Right.
like the Olympics had this press conference yesterday, and you should have seen this. This guy was so exhausted trying to explain to these fucking idiot journalists. No, look at her birth
Right.
certificate. No, at birth she was this. No, what the fuck? And meanwhile, where's the outrage for the fucking literal child rapist who's playing beach volleyball for the Netherlands? Where's the outrage for that?
No.
Because we are going to continue to make transgender women and men the devil scapegoat for everything in your lives, but children being raped, we're okay with that? Where do you stand on that, J.K. Rowling? Where are you on that? This guy, Steven Van de Velde, who at 19 years old, he's now, I think, 30, but at 19, was talking to a child on the internet who lived in England. He went to England, met up with her in her parents' house when they weren't home, got her drunk, and fucking raped her. She was 12 years old.
Oh my God.
He leaves the country. She tells her parents. He gets extradited back to England, gets put on trial, and found guilty. Then they extradite him back to the Netherlands to serve out his sentence. But in the Netherlands, this isn't really, there's not really a strict sentencing for that. So they gave him time served and only gave him 13 months in jail. And he walked the fuck out.
Yeah,
and this man is the most defiant motherfucker. They can't even allow him to walk around the Olympic Village. He's secluded by himself in a room until it's time to play. And then when he plays, he's booed the whole time. But he's at the Olympics for the Netherlands.
How does he get to...
But yeah, we're going to go around and accuse women for being transgender because they're strong?
Yeah.
Because they punched hard? That concept doesn't occur to you that someone can train and be a good boxer and have a vagina? The outrage for one and not the other will forever blow my mind. Y'all need to get it together. And the Olympics, we should have some sort of a ethical standard on who we allow to play. And by the way, can we also remind everybody that Shakara Richardson, is that her name? Who was kept out of the Olympics 2 years ago because she tested positive for weed.
Yeah.
4 years ago. Remember that? Who's now fucking breaking records there, running for the... she was kept out because of weed in her system.
Yeah.
But there's a rapist there? Bitch, Olympics, you got to get it together.
Get it together. What a mess. What a mess. But the thing is, she's now got to defend her career. She's got to defend herself and the violence that she could potentially be facing because of these nutjob conservatives who don't have their facts straight.
Yeah.
So I don't, it's really awful to me. And to also just say by looking at someone and then suggesting that person isn't female because of how they look.
They did it. So I just looked up the name of somebody else. Alona Mayer, who's an American women's rugby player. Same thing. That's what she was being accused a week ago online of being transgender. And she's in tears in a video going, I'm not. Like, it's the implication of what you're actually saying about someone on a global stage. What you're accusing someone of being. And it's not that transgender is bad. It's the implication of you're too masculine. You're not feminine enough for us,
right,
lunatics, to consider to be a woman.
Right. Well, and the implication that somehow you're cheating the system, right?
Yeah.
That you are pretending to be something that you're not, so that you can compete and win at something at this high level. You know what I mean? It's
and
all
where does that end?
Things.
Like, where does it end? Do we check genitals next, like they do in the state of Florida?
Yeah.
Like, is that what you're gonna do? It's insane. And also, it goes to a larger conversation about. Am I being too loud? It goes to a larger conversation about what we consider beautiful and what society considers beautiful. What is the ideal of like beauty for the world? Because it doesn't look like one thing. Right. And if you're raising daughters, we don't ever have those kinds of conversations where you say, this woman is too masculine and they look like a man. Like those kinds of things aren't said.
You shouldn't say it to your sons either.
Yeah, and that's true. Exactly, you're right. I should have included sons too. But like these are athletes. These are women who are training their whole lives for those moments. And the fact that they are at the top of their game at the fucking Olympics and their image, what they look like is being discussed is so fucking gross. They worked their whole lives for this moment and it's belittled down to, oh, she looks like a man. Like,
right.
What?
But you have that's on one end of the spectrum. And then on the other end of the spectrum, then they're pissed off when the volleyball team is wearing like leggings instead of the little bikini bottoms. Right? Like women you can't win, right? Because then if they're in something that's too skimpy, then it's like, oh, they're too skimpy. But then if they're in leggings, it's leggings. Like, but you're there for the sport, right? Everything is about their image. Like I can't imagine not having respect as an athlete because everybody's looking at your body all the time. Are you feminine? Are you not feminine? Are you wearing your pants? Are you wearing your bikini? Like,
yeah.
Let them just play a sport.
They're being criticized by someone sitting on their fucking couch who couldn't walk a mile. Like, get the fuck out of here. These fucking opinions. That's the worst thing about social media is everybody thinks their opinion matters and it does not.
It's the worst thing that has ever happened to the world.
And then you put a microphone in front of them and they're like, oh, I can have a podcast. No, you can't.
No.
PDE is real, okay?
PDE.
It's real. Girl, that's my only other thing before the story is that we are going to have a fucking correspondent for the Muck podcast at the 2024 Democratic Convention.
Yeah, that's exciting.
Yes, our executive producer Alfredo Olvera will be coming to you live from the floor of the National Democratic Convention.
Oh my god, that's gonna be great.
Yeah, I'm gonna be asking questions like, what kind of food do they have there?
Yes.
Is it like hot dogs or like what's happening? Like nachos? What's going on?
Oh my god.
And it's in Chicago, which is incredible.
Yeah.
So exciting.
It's gonna be great.
Yeah, so we'll get a lot of live updates on our Instagram.
Ooh.
So stay tuned and go follow us on Instagram at the Muck Podcast.
All right.
Yes, ready.
Okay, so today I'm going to tell you the story of former Kentucky House of Representatives member Steve Nunn.
Okay, you like Kentucky.
Am I in Kentucky?
You are always doing Kentucky.
Oh,
yeah.
I didn't even know
quite a few stories.
Well, who knew?
Yeah.
Though a son of a former governor, Steve Nunn became a politician in his own right and had a successful career. But his life took a dark turn when he harmed his fiancée, shattering his future and his reputation.
What?
So our story takes place in Barron County, Kentucky in the mid-2000s.
Damn.
Steve Nunn was born in 1952. After graduating high school, he earned his BA in political science in 1975 and later attended law school but never finished. So he was immersed in politics for a lot of his life because his dad, Louis B. Nunn, served as governor of Kentucky from 1967 to 1971.
Louis B. Nunn is
Louis B. Nunn.
That's a good name.
So this could be what drew him into that, major in college.
The Song of the Siren.
Pathway, yes. Called in. So from what I read, though he was a Republican, he did focus on women's rights. So specifically, he co-sponsored a bill that would make a person who was named in a domestic violence order subjected to the death penalty if they killed the person who was protected by that order. So let's kind of put a pin in that because we'll see what happens later on. So he also helped advocate for telehealth so that folks in rural areas would have access to health care because we know that sometimes the nearest hospital might be very far away. Yeah, those medical deserts. So he served for 16 years, lost to a Democrat. So he ends up, running for that House seat, and he serves for a long time. And he loses to a Democrat, Johnny Bell, in 2006. But that doesn't keep him out of politics, right? He supported this other Democrat, Steve Beshear, for governor of Kentucky, and when Beshear won, he appointed Nunn as the Deputy Secretary of Health and Family Services in 2007. So he had his political career, but he's still in politics because he's appointed to this other thing, this Deputy Secretary position. And this makes sense because of his prior work as a legislator where he was working on domestic violence issues and other issues. So for him to be in health and family services kind of makes sense for the work that he did.
I always love when we're building up to something. I can feel it.
So let's get into
God,
it.
Here we go.
And then a trigger warning, because we're going to talk about domestic violence.
Oh, Jesus.
So as we know, Nunn advocated for women, and he passed that law to protect women from domestic violence. But despite that work, Nunn assaulted his very own partner, and rather it was his so he was engaged to this woman, and then they split up, and in March 2009, he resigned from his post as that health and human services guy because he physically assaulted Amanda Ross, who was his former fiancée, and she was 29 at the time of the assault, and she ends up getting a protective order against him, just like, you know, that the kind of work that he was working on. 6 months after that, Amanda is found shot to death in Lexington. Later that day, the police found Nunn. He had slit his wrist, and he was at the gravesite of his parents.
What the fuck?
While there, when the cops arrive, he shoots at them with a .38 caliber gun, and eventually, like, the cops get to him, and they, like, take him to the hospital. And,
what?
And
hold on.
He survives.
Hold on.
He survives.
He's shooting at the cops, and they don't kill him?
No. They end up, like, taking him. I know. Funny
That
works. But
this is nuts.
Yeah, so he shoots her, goes to the gravesite, slits his wrist at the
So
gravesite.
he's death penalty. This is death penalty.
Right, because that was the law
right.
that he put in. So he is charged with 1 count of murder,
you know
6
what?
counts of endangerment of a police officer because he was shooting at the cops. He pleads not guilty to the murder.
What? Bitch.
As a result, he's up for the death penalty because of violating that protective order.
So not guilty because of mental defect or something like that?
He just says he's not guilty.
Yeah,
So then finally, you know, throughout the trial, he decides, like, okay, like, I need to plead guilty on this. So he pleads guilty, and I guess, you know, they make their little plea deal.
Right.
And part of the plea deal
Death's off the table.
is he gets life imprisonment without the possibility of parole. And he said, again, I apologize to all of you.
You know,
That was his statement. I apologize.
yeah, well, you know what a real apology would have been? You cut those veins a little bit deeper.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Ooh.
Dark.
Sorry,
Sorry, but
dark.
that's my daughter.
Yeah, my God.
You better be dead. You better be dead, or I'll find you
Right.
some other way. Because,
No, I mean, it's terrible. It's
yeah.
terrible.
No.
Because they were broken up.
Yeah, no.
You know what I mean? And
you
he
don't
already hit her. And it's like,
And
leave her
how
alone.
scary,
Like,
yeah.
clearly
How
the
scary.
relationship isn't working.
Yeah. And you know that he was probably continuing to contact her.
Right.
She's probably scared out of her fucking mind.
I mean,
how many times do we have to hear this story where
Yeah.
these women do not get peace?
No.
Move on.
Move on.
I mean, you know, a judge has clearly said that you can't be near her. Like, isn't that embarrassing enough? What the fuck?
Leave her alone.
Leave her alone.
So
Now this woman's got to die because you can't get over it? Get
Yeah.
the fuck out of here. Grow up.
So things don't end there. The family finds out that Nunn is collecting his pension.
What? Oh,
While
no.
in jail.
We're not doing this.
So the loophole was that he wasn't a state rep. So he was a state rep, so he collects that pension, right? So the loophole is, well, he wasn't an elected when the murder happened, right? He was in that other appointment. So they sue him for wrongful death, and the judge orders him to pay $24 million to the family.
Holy shit.
So Nunn did try to argue against them garnishing his wages for the payout, but that went nowhere. His reasoning was that he wanted to, quote, extend some economic benefit for his children and grandchildren.
What?
But what about my kids and grandkids?
Yeah.
And
Well,
it's
I
like,
mean-
well, what about their daughter?
Yeah.
What about their daughter?
Does he have children?
Yeah, because he was older.
Oh.
He was, like, married before. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, she was, like, 29. He was, like, in his 50s or whatever.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
How do you get that wrapped up into somebody?
Yeah.
What is going on there?
I don't know.
Oh my god, dude.
So Nunn fortified this opportunity to help his family, basically, fortified. Let me start over. Nunn forfeited
Oh right.
his opportunity to help his family when he stole Amanda Ross's life. So while her death was tragic and unnecessary, it did lead to what is called Amanda's Law, which allows for GPS tracking units to enhance the protection of victims of domestic violence. And they wanted this to be more comprehensive, Amanda's mother specifically, and it said it's not effective right now. The judges are not using it yet, and it's my fear that it's going to take another high-profile murder to get their attention. So they're just trying to put, and the fact that we have to implement all of these things.
Yeah, why are they already there?
Safety is crazy, and then
Nobody
it's got to
gives
go
a
through
fuck about
laws,
women.
and then it's
Nobody
disgusting.
cares about women. We're disposable. It's so fucking up, and it shouldn't take that long. Just make it happen. Make it happen. Put this guy in fucking jail the second he texts you or calls you or whatever, and there's supposed to be a protective order. Throw his ass in jail.
Yeah.
And also, like, start pulling out fingernails. You put that motherfucker in jail and torture him a little bit, he's not gonna pick up the phone and start looking for her. He's not hurting. He doesn't hurt. He's mentally unstable.
Yeah, he's obsessed. So, a couple points of interest. Nunn did not have the best relationship with his father, that former governor.
I was shocked.
In fact, in a letter to his son, the former governor wrote this, quote, "Within my mind and memory, you do not exist.
Oh my God!
It appears to me that nothing I can do will ever humble you in any way. Someday, God will humble you."
Woo! I think we found Bingo! I think we found the problem. It's called therapy, everybody.
Yes.
It's called therapy. Your dad's a fucking egotistical prick. He's a prick.
Yeah.
But that's not her fault.
Yeah.
Like, I don't understand.
Yeah.
Like, can we stop going out into the world not prepared to exist around other people?
Right.
Can we all get our shit together so we can coexist and not kill each other because somebody doesn't want to be with you anymore? Can we all please do the work so that we don't have to die for it?
Right.
I mean, my God.
It's crazy. But the fact that he said, "It appears to me that nothing I can do will ever humble you in any way," like that he had this ego, and that he had definitely an issue with his ego, which is why he probably couldn't handle her maybe wanting to break it off. So maybe like with his marriage, maybe I don't know what happened there, but maybe he broke it, like he didn't care. You know what I mean? So this Yahoo also tried to get his sentence overturned.
Oh my God.
But the judge
There's that ego again.
And then Nunn's ex-wife noted that he was nice when he was wearing his political hat. But in his personal life, he was, quote, narcissistic and violent.
Lovely.
So,
great guy.
Imagine being married to this person who's putting forward bills to protect against domestic violence, and you're at home with him, and he's a narcissistic, violent freak. Like, is it? You must be like, and he's getting praised for his help of women, but then you're living with like the reality of what he is. That's creepy.
It's creepy, but also
that's
like
creepy, and that's
at
weird.
what point do we stop having sympathy for people like this, or like for her? Like that's the marriage you're in. Like you're aware. Like maybe you should leave. It is creepy, but like get the fuck out. But also
sometimes it's hard for people in domestic violence.
This woman who's aware that this is happening. Like even if it's just like the J.D. Vance wife. Like, I'd love to feel sorry for her, but she knows what she's doing. You tell me this woman didn't go to campaign events and hold his hand and put up this picture of a great family man to get him elected?
But I'm saying if she was a victim of domestic
You're right.
violence
There's
it's hard for women to leave if he had control of the finances. If he had,
You're right. You're right.
So I don't know that full story.
No, it's probably true.
I think it's hard sometimes for women to get out or find a way out or feel like they have a way out.
But also, don't we have obligations to future people who might get involved with somebody like this? I mean, to a warning system of like, this person should not be aware.
Or after that divorce going, hey, P.S., this guy, you're appointing him to this place. Like, this is what he's been doing.
He's going to care about health and family? I don't fucking think so.
But that's it. That's the story.
Oh, girl. Why you got to bring this shit to my doorstep?
I'm sorry.
Speaking of that, so I on Hulu, sometimes we'll have really good documentaries, and they're like, there's this one, I keep seeing the ad for it during shows, and I'm like, all right, I'll watch it. It's called Betrayal. I think I'm on episode 3, and I'm not finishing it.
I think I may have
I'm not going to finish it. It's about a woman who, she finds out her husband is into child pornography.
Oh, yes. I listened to the podcast.
Okay.
It was a podcast first.
Yes. The podcast is on there. She's very they're very
and then,
annoying.
So the podcast, and then what was interesting is at the end of that podcast, they had gotten so many women writing to them about like, well, this is what happened with my husband. And so now that's why there's like these other series, because then they reached out and said, do you, and So there are other.
I'm telling you, but here's the worst part.
Oh no, that guy was.
Okay. But once again, this is why I'm stopped watching it, because I go, no more of this. Like, I start watching these documentaries, and you see that these mothers have no sense. There's no sense. And I don't mean she could have predicted what she found, not with that.
No.
But when you find out that there's hundreds of videos of your daughter, who's he married this woman when the daughter was like 3 years old. Yeah. So she knows him as her father, and she also had a son, and then they had a daughter together.
Yeah.
And there's videos of her changing. Yeah. There's videos of her walking. He tells her to come over so she can bend over and she's not wearing a bra, so he can take videos of her breasts. Ew. When you know that all of that is on this thing, and she gets him arrested, she does all of these things the right way. And then he gets out of jail to be on, before they're like preparing for the trial, and he's staying at his grandfather's house, and he's writing letters, and he's writing letters to the daughter who's now like 19, and she's like, and you know, I'm so sorry, and the daughter was like, I'm never gonna read this, burn it. And she's giving letters to the little girl from her father, and I'm like, no, this person's dead. I would have been like, Daddy died. Yes. He's gone. He's not coming back. Like, that's it. Daddy's gone. And then she tries to help him prepare for the trial. Yeah. Because he's telling her, oh, I was on this ADHD medication, and I was on Zoloft, and it fucked up my brain. No. That doesn't make you love child porn, bitch. No. I don't know. No. I could read the side of the prescription bottle, but I'm pretty sure that's not on it. Yeah. And then she goes, she had not seen the police reports. Like, she had not seen the full thing. So she kept asking him for it. And he was like, kept changing the subject. So finally she gets it, and she's reading it, and she realizes that it wasn't accidental video, because he kept telling her it was accident. Maybe I had a video of her changing, but it was an accident. But there was like hundreds of videos, and then she was like, "Now it's time for me to stand up for my family and my daughter." I'm like, "Yeah, no." Why did that?
Thank God she called the police.
What is wrong with people? Yeah. And the psychologist was like, they want to believe that they can. This is your daughter.
But I think
your daughter.
I think it doesn't compute in their mind that they could be with someone that would do these things. But
there's evidence. Yeah, I know. You see it.
People have their blinders on, and they don't want to accept it.
I gotta tell you.
Oh no, I'd be like, get the.
There better be a low percentage of women who do this, because there was a book or something about that too. I don't know. Nobody becomes before your children. No. I don't give a fuck. Yeah. I don't give a fuck. No. There's videos of their real daddy or their stepdaddy that's got naked videos of them. He would never. I gotta tell you, I'd be calling the police after I blacked out. Oh, I blacked out. I woke up. He was dead. Yeah. I don't know what happened. I was shocked. I was in shock. Now he's dead on the floor. So call the morgue. Come pick up a body. I think that's what would happen in this fucking house. Oh. In this fucking house, that's what would happen. Woo. There would be no trial. No. That'd be the end of that.
There was another one of the Betrayal. I believe it was like the second season. I can't remember, where this guy, I think it's the same thing, his stepfather, and his son's friends, like they were in high school, and he would always have them over at the pool and this and that, and they had like a pool room, shower change or whatever, and they saw a camera.
Oh my God.
One of the boys was like, what is that? Took a picture of it. And then they looked it up, and they realized it was a camera. And then that parent like called the police.
Oh my God.
And then realized like all of this stuff was happening. And I watched when I had COVID, because, you know, I get sick all the time. And I had COVID, and I was watching just movies and movies and movies. Yeah. And I watched like 4 movies. I was watching like thrillers and scary movies.
Yeah, I remember.
All of them had some kind of thing where there was a tiny camera like this big in the shower and I'm like, you can't trust anywhere they're going. These cameras are so. But if you go to like an Airbnb,
yes, that's what I was just gonna say.
Because one of them was like, they went to an Airbnb weekend, and there was like a serial killer, and there was these tiny. It was just like in the tiny, you wouldn't notice them. Yeah. And then in that one, this lady was in the shower, and she was looking at the shower head, and she was like, wait a minute, because one of them was like a little bigger, and that was the camera, and that's when she's like, uh-oh, and then they realized like there's cameras in this place.
Yeah, I've seen some videos of people like they find things on
scanner that you can scan and find these things?
I mean, Here's the thing,
It's creeping
y'all.
me
But they could have
out.
those in hotels too. Who
Yes.
knows? I know. It's so fucked up. It's fucked up. It makes you scared to
Dressing
exist.
rooms, like
No, I know.
yeah. So now I got to scan everywhere I go.
Yeah.
Not that anyone wants to look at me, but you know what I'm saying. Like,
No, it doesn't matter.
It
It's
doesn't
still
matter.
out there.
It's still out there.
Speaking of that, what about our friend Sabrina Javiana?
Oh,
Girl, our good friend and former Hallandale Beach City Commissioner Sabrina Javiana. She was elected at 21 years old, and she was very outspoken, very progressive about issues that are really important.
yeah.
And had criticized the police department there. They had a whole SWAT team. Somebody was actually killed in their house. A man was killed in his house.
Yeah.
Wrongful death from the police. And she was very outspoken about it. Well, what
Family
comes...
leave. She
did incredible
she
work.
did a lot of work.
And brilliant woman. Brilliant. And what comes from that sort of being very progressive and out there is trolls. And I had no idea that she had been going through this. But for years, she's been fighting because... they used her AI to put her face on pornography.
Yeah, these deep fakes. It's deep
fakes.
fakes. And they took her original photos where she's clothed and then just take the clothes off using AI. It's very scary.
Yeah.
And we've seen this happen. You know, it happened to her that she had to deal with that and try to get these images scrubbed from the internet. And it's all in these like weird...
Yeah. 4chan, weird shit.
Discord, like all of those places, because like none of that is encrypted, you know, like that's where they can do all of that nastiness. But we've heard stories too, and I think we've talked about it on here before with the high school girls where that was happening too. Like this is happening more and more, and it is, you know, it's you know, if someone is a public figure, they're really at risk of that. Celebrities are political figures, but everyday people too. I mean, the revenge porn sites have been up for who was the person you covered with the revenge porn in California?
Oh my God.
Remember
Katie something?
Yes. And they were putting you know, this stuff online. Like there needs to be laws in place because they can track your IP address. They have to find ways that they can track people down. And if you're someone that has posted that, there has to be a penalty.
Yeah.
There has to be a penalty. And the fact that they're trying to say that because these images aren't real, right, then they haven't broken a law because it's not real, right? So like if someone is distributing child pornography, they can go to jail for child porn. But if it's an AI generated, then it's not real. So it's not a real child.
Yeah.
Like they've got to say these laws have to do something. They've got to evolve these laws and say.
Well, that's what she's working with now.
Like regardless that if you are creating the likeness of someone's image or the likeness of a child, that is still, you're still engaging in this awful thing.
Yeah.
But how do we combat
our laws
that?
have to catch up with AI and what's happening. It's really, really important because it ruins careers.
Yeah.
Even if it's not image. Remember the one about the messages from that principal? They tried to fire the principal and he said all these racist things in a message and it was AI generated. Yeah. It's crazy. Anyway, I'm very proud of her. It was in the New York Times magazine, and then they shared it as an article on New York Times. Yeah. I know Senator Lauren Book was mentioned in it for creating laws here in Florida because the same exact thing happened to her. They tried to blackmail her with these fake fucking pictures, and then she called the FBI. I mean, it was a whole thing. And so I think we're going to be seeing more of Sabrina talking about this, but it is so important because from that article, she'll be trolled more. Like more things will happen. But her coming out and saying this thing has happened to me as an elected official. Imagine students and young girls and things and people
that see this and know, okay, this happened to me too.
Yeah, it's incredible. And that's what we need, people to say things so that we can create these laws and make sure people are aware of what is happening. And she was targeted because she was standing up for things. It's crazy. It's crazy.
It's really scary to put when you run for office, you're putting yourself out there. You know, you're putting a target on your back, like regardless, like right, because it's like you're one political. The way things are so divisive now, it's really brave to even run for office nowadays, I think. Yeah. And then to come out and share this story of and being so vulnerable and making people aware of like what was happening, it's
Yeah, it's a big deal.
It's a big deal. And thank you.
Bravo.
Yeah.
Oh, lovely.
Oh, all right. Well,
I guess that's it.
yeah.
So next time we talk to you would have been at work.
I gotta keep
What are you
my
gonna do?
vibe.
What are you gonna do your last couple days here?
I don't know. My cousin's coming over today.
Nice.
That's
fun.
I'm gonna do like the brunch on Sunday.
Oh yeah.
Maybe see my nieces after that. I'm not sure.
Nice.
I don't know. I want to do absolutely nothing.
Yeah, that sounds good too.
So,
Well,
I've just been crocheting. All I do is crochet.
That's nice.
Yeah, I watch TV and crochet, and then I'll listen to podcasts and crochet. I'll listen to music and crochet. I'm like this far into a blanket for my niece now.
Nice.
I've been trying to make baby headbands. I'm just, I'm like, I got to use up all the stash because my mom's a crocheter and she has tubs of yarn. And I'm like, no. So anything left over, I'm like, what are little things I can make? Like a hat or like a headband or like something to kind of use up
the yarn.
the random yarn that's laying around.
Girl.
And then reading.
Oh my God.
I've just been really enjoying reading.
I could not have been more opposite of how I spend my time.
Oh.
I don't crochet and I don't read.
I read 2 really good books.
Yeah.
The past couple of weeks. I think
Yeah,
we talked
you
about one.
talked about it on Patreon.
And the other one, The Ordinary People, I just finished. Jeez Louise. Ooh, go cry.
Well,
go read that book and cry.
I've been listening to, I don't know why, but I've been listening to a lot of music from the 2000s, all the indie rock that I used to go to dance clubs and like, oh my God, it's so fucking good. And it just, I hear a song start and I'm like, bro, I fucking remember dancing to this song.
Yeah.
My friend Josh and I, we'd go out all the fucking time. We used to go to Roxanne's.
Aww.
I forgot, Roxanne's is where Big Dog Saloon is now? No, Big Dog is on
Yeah.
Dixie next to Tats and Tacos. And it used to be called Roxanne's. It was this little dark bar, and on Friday nights they did indie rock night. It was the fucking best shit ever. It was so much fun.
That sounds fun.
Oh my God. And the music was so good. And anyway, so
Those were the days.
those were the days. Just takes me back and reminds me of how much fun I used to have.
Oh. All right.
Well, I guess that's it.
That's it.
Bye.
Bye.